Mom up the slope, daylight was already thinning, and the truth settled in my chest like cold. We were stuck on a snowy mountain together, alone with nothing but what we carried and the weight of everything we had never said. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Heartbeat Tales if you believe in kindness and second chances. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My boss, Mara Halverson, had always been an immovable presence at the office. She ran meetings with precision, measured success in margins and deadlines, and never let emotions slow a decision. I had admired her from a distance the way one admires a storm from behind glass. Now there was no glass. The cabin was simple and clean, built for daylight skiers who needed a break, not for an overnight stand-still. There was one narrow bed tucked beneath a window rimmed with frost, a small table, a stove with a single burner, and a silence so heavy it made every breath sound like a confession. Outside, the mountain glowed blue and white under a bright afternoon sky, a beautiful cruelty that promised more cold before any rescue could reach us. We inventoried what we had, and it was not much. A thermos with lukewarm coffee, a thin blanket, my phone with a fading signal, and her immaculate composure cracking at the edges. I had always been the junior analyst who stayed late and spoke softly, the one who carried other people's urgency like a second spine. She had always been the authority. The mountain erased that hierarchy without asking permission. As the temperature dropped, the challenge became less about waiting and more about enduring. Fingers stiffened. Thoughts wandered to mistakes, to chances not taken, to the long road down that felt impossibly far. Time stretched in strange ways. The daylight lingered, a pale sun trapped behind clouds, turning the snow into a mirror. I watched Mira move around the cabin with careful efficiency, lighting the ceiling drafts with spare clothing, doing what she always did when faced with chaos, working through a snod. Yet, in the quiet, something else surfaced. Exhaustion softened her posture. She looked less like the unyielding leader from the boardroom and more like a woman carrying years of responsibility without ever setting it down. The mountain did not care about titles. It demanded warmth, cooperation, and trust. The hardest moment came when the stove sputtered and died, the last of its fuel spent. The cold crept closer, a slow, relentless tide. We understood the reality without naming it. The single bed was not a choice, but a strategy, a way to share heat and make it through the night if daylight faded further. Pride argued, fear answered louder. We layered the thin blanket, sat close, and focused on breathing steadily, on staying present. In that proximity, I felt the barrier between us thin. Not in a dramatic way, but in a human one. The kind where you realize that the person you thought you knew was only a silhouette. As the hours passed, the mountain offered a strange gift. With nothing else to do, memories surfaced. I thought of the first day I joined the company, how Mira had challenged me without softening the edges, how I had grown sharper because of it. I sensed her attention shift from survival tasks to reflection, as if the stillness had opened a door she rarely allowed herself to approach. The wind rose and fell, snow tapped the window like a patient reminder that nature moves on its own schedule. In the shared quiet respect transformed into understanding, I stopped seeing her as strict and started seeing her as strong in a way that had cost her dearly. Daylight finally returned in a gentler shade, a promise rather than a glare. The cold had not won. We had learned how to conserve energy, how to laugh softly at the absurdity of it all, how to be present without needing to fill the space. When the radio crackled to life with word of a rescue team approaching, relief washed through us, warm and unexpected, yet there was also a tenderness in knowing that the mountain had given us something we would carry back down. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please engage with the video by liking and sharing it. Your interaction helps these stories reach others who might need a reminder that connection can be found in the most unlikely places. Before the ending, leave a comment and tell us what moment resonated with you most. Or share a time when an unexpected situation changed how you saw someone. When we finally stepped outside, the day was bright and clear, the snow sparkling under a confident sun. We walked toward the rescue team, not as boss and employee, but as two people who had faced the cold together and found warmth where they least expected it. Back at the office, deadlines would return, meetings would resume, and roles would reassert themselves. But something essential had shifted. Kindness would have more room, second chances would feel closer. And every time I looked up at the mountains in the distance, I would remember that sometimes being stuck is exactly what you need to move forward. I got stuck on a snowy mountain with my strict boss. She said,